Once again, I'm prefacing this by saying I am not a doctor or physician, period. But I do look into things, and here I'm just going to go through some things that I've noticed over the years and some stuff that I researched, and I continue to. And I urge you to do the same and research this and other things, as always. Do your own research. But anyways, I'm talking here about cancer, vitamin D, the sun, and sunscreen. So I know we're always told, and we hear it all the time, and there's propaganda on the television. They call it advertising and commercials, but for sunscreen, for this and that, at preschools and at elementary and even middle school, and that it's always told, make sure your kids have sunscreen on, make sure your kids don't go out in the sun without sunscreen, make sure you this, make sure you that, make sure you don't go outside without sunscreen on. Fill in the hole. Anyways, if you're going outside, you need sunscreen. That's basically the moral of the story, or what's said, what's been told to you and me and everyone else around here. Why is that? Well, I have my hunch on things, and I advise you to look into things and get your own opinion. Other than making money, there might be other reasons for it. I'm going to go over a few things. Anyways, most sunscreens contain toxic chemicals. Some are carcinogenic or cancer-causing. Even if you make sure they don't have any of those items in there, which most of them do, what they do is they do the main thing the sun does for our bodies, is to help you produce vitamin D3 naturally from the sun and get all the other health benefits from the sun. You are putting this block, the sunscreen, so your body does not absorb the needed elements from it beyond the cancer-causing things that the screens have. So, in my opinion, the sun is a gift to mankind. I mean, it's there for a reason. It's a gift. And I just want to say, for over 40 years, I've gone out in the sun. I continue to go out in the sun. And I do that when it's nice, that kind of stuff, in shorts and without a t-shirt, without a shirt on. I'm getting as much sun exposure that I can. I do not use sunscreen. I have not used sunscreen. I've never used sunscreen. I've always refused to. I've never wanted to block out this amazing thing that we have called the sun. When I was younger, I didn't know why. I didn't know what it was. I know they told me you need to put it on so you don't get sunburn, because it could cause sunburn. The sun, being in front of the sun or out in the sun too long, you get cancer, skin cancer, whatever they're going to say. I didn't care, whatever. I knew something was not right. That's those statements, those things being told to me. Anyways, and they're still being told, and people are still believing them. Anyways, on that note, I do not have skin cancer. I have never had skin cancer. I know I go out in the sun all the time, like I say, and I don't go out there protected. As I say, I go out there without a screen or a block on. Why? Because I feel it's essential and beneficial. I feel you need to. I feel everyone does. I did a video on being out in the sun all the time, not too long ago. I suggest look into that video and do your own research, as always. But anyways, melanoma very often occurs in areas of the body that don't get exposed to the sun. I mean, they're shielded from the sun. The soles of the feet, the upper legs, the back of the legs, behind the knees, that kind of stuff, the genital, crotch areas, under the fingernails, in the mouth or the nose, all of which they're barely in the sun. They're never in the sun, if ever barely in the sun. They barely get exposure. So then what would be the What would be the argument? What would be the call to the need of sunscreen? Because those unexposed places are the ones that fall to get melanoma, a skin cancer. I don't have an answer for that. I'm asking the question. People who work inside in offices, that kind of stuff, desk jobs, risk melanoma much more so than outside workers, construction workers, lifeguards, that kind of stuff. The numbers speak for themselves. That's just how it is. I'm not saying correlation, causation, anything like that. I'm just saying the numbers. Look into them. Both the FDA and the Cancer Institute have failed to see the evidence or any evidence that sunscreens prevent skin cancer of any kind. We repeat that. Both the FDA and the Cancer Institute have failed to see any evidence that sunscreens prevent skin cancer of any kind. Period. Well, then that just makes that knocks over the whole house of cards. That stops winning the sales for this whole thing called sunscreen, sunblock. A need for it, a reason for it itself. Just that line. But anyways, the best source for vitamin D3 is initiated in our body's skin by the sun's UVB rays. So when you're out in the sun, the ultraviolet rays are UVA and UVB. UVA is what dries the skin and causes sunburn. UVB is what works with your body to help create D3. Works with your skin to help create D3. You will not get UVB rays if there is glass between you and the sun. Period. That's it. You will not get UVB rays if you have sunscreen on. Period. That's it. Ain't happening. So the important, not the only important, but one of the major important things of the sun, you're blocking out. Everyone's blocking out if you're having the sunscreen sunblock on. So I just want to go over tanning, cancer, vitamin D, that kind of stuff. I'm saying tanning, I'm saying tanning in the sun, right? Sunbathing. We're talking about the sun and sunblock in this video. So that's what this is pertaining to. Sunscreen often contains cancer-causing chemicals that bake into the skin and get absorbed into the bloodstream, overtaxing the liver with toxins. So here are some of the toxins in almost all sunscreens. They're not in all sunscreens, but almost all sunscreens have these or some of these toxins, or even others that I did not list, or I'm not going to list. There's OMC, that's the main chemical used in sunscreens to filter out UVB rays, which have been shown to kill mouse cells, mice cells, even in low doses. Plus, it's also shown to be particularly toxic when exposed to the sun. So this OMC has been shown to be particularly toxic when exposed to the sun, and that's in sunscreen, in sunblock. It's in most of them, a majority of them. So there's titanium dioxide. It's another common ingredient in sunscreens. It has been classified as potential occupational carcinogen. So carcinogen, you're putting this on your skin. It's a chemical. It's going to your liver, that kind of stuff. It's also blocking out the UVB rays from the sun. The stuff I've just said prior, that kind of stuff. So then there's these oxybenzone is another one that becomes carcinogenic even when exposed to the sun. Has been found to be a hormone disruptor. So you're putting this thing on your body, rubbing it in your skin that's in a sunscreen that has that. There's been news reports that have said about half the sunscreens that have been tested in studies contain derivatives such as retinol and these other ingredients have been found to be photocarcinogenic by the FDA's studies. So, meaning the ingredients become toxic and cancer-causing when exposed to sunlight. So these things that are in sunscreen, sunblock, you're putting on your body to block out the sun. Once it's in the sun, these chemicals become toxic. Let alone they're toxic themselves. Before you go out in the sun with them on, they become even more toxic. And then there's other ones there. There's reports from 2006. Stuff goes back to and that kind of stuff. So I just want you to look into this on sunscreens and sunblocks and look at, I know there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff out there in your Google searches, your DuckDuckGo searches, or whatever search engine you're using, that kind of stuff. Your searches, you're going to see all this stuff on the need to be using sunblocks or sunscreens if you go outside because of melanoma and skin cancer. Well, just look at that if you want, but then start asking questions and say, is there something more? Why is it like this now? Ask your parents. Ask them if they're worried about skin cancer. Ask them if they ever used sunblock or sunscreen because they didn't have it. A lot of them did not have them back then. Did they worry about that? And if they didn't, did they get sunburned? Did they get tanned? Did they go out there with a lot of exposed skin to the sun all the time? There are a lot of people who went to the beaches all the time. If you're in Florida, if you're in states like that, California. And are they using sunblock? Have they ever? Do they care to? And are there generations who have been out in the sun many times over and didn't care? By didn't care, I would say didn't care what has been told to them. Didn't care what's been propagandized to them. Just did what they did. And have they had a lot of sun exposure over the years? And have they had skin cancer or melanoma? Ever? And do they know anyone who have not? I mean, we're talking about people who haven't used sunblock. We're talking about people that haven't used your sunscreens. Talking about people who just go out and get sun exposure. And ask them, why don't they? Or have they had problems? Have they had any scares? That kind of stuff. And I'm sure you'll find people who would say, well, yeah, we never use that. We still don't use that because we've never needed it. We never wanted it. We don't like it for whatever reasons they're going to give you. But I urge you to do that, and I urge you to continue to keep looking and keep researching and find your answers. But it's out there. Don't wait for someone to tell you on TV or on the radio or regurgitate stuff that's been told by someone else or whatever. Why? Because that's not the real reason why. There's something behind that. And there is something behind the sunblock sunscreen. And other than money, my hunch says it's much more devious than that. But that's just me. And I just want to say, now look into that and then think about it if you have children, or you're going to have children, or you have grandchildren. Do you want them having this stuff on their skin all the time, knowing the chemicals and the toxins that are in these things that are being put and lathered on their bodies that are going to go in their liver, and their liver has to combat? And what that's going to do to their bodies at this young ages they're at, and then over time what it's going to do as it continues to build up more and more and more, the more they have it. Is that going to be problematic? Is it going to be cancer causing? I don't know. I'm just asking questions, and I want you to look into that, because there's families that still don't use that. There's families generations prior to that never thought of using it, and never had problems with skin cancer or melanoma, and had healthier children. I'm not saying because of that. I'm just saying they had healthier children because of many reasons, but maybe this is one of them. So I just want people to look into this kind of stuff and think about it a little bit, and then know if you're going out in the sun with the sunblock sunscreen on, you're not really going out in the sun and getting the benefits from the sun. Period. That's just how it is. Anyways, well, if you enjoyed this, hit the like, share, subscribe. Again, thanks for watching. Stay vigilant. Protect yourself, protect your family, protect your health, and protect your wealth.